In this video, we're going to show you how to install the EVAP vent tube on your Ford Focus, located behind the gas tank going to the charcoal canister and your fuel filler tube. I want to go ahead and come in on the passenger side kick panel right here. We need to loosen these two retainers. Grab a flathead screwdriver. I want to go ahead and unscrew these. Then I want to go ahead and pop this off. I'm just going to reach behind it and gently pull this out, working this out. Now right here, you want to lift up on the sill plate. That's going to allow us to pull this out. The reason why we pull that out is we need to access the inertia switch right here. We want to disconnect this harness. I'm going to use my flathead screwdriver. You can use a pocket screwdriver. Pry out gently and pull the gray connector down. Once that's undone, we're going to hop into the vehicle and crank the engine until the vehicle runs out of fuel. Let's go ahead and start the vehicle. Now it died out. We're going to try it again. Okay, at that point there, our fuel system is drained. Let's go ahead and continue. With the fuel system drained out, we're going to go ahead and reconnect our inertia switch. We're not going to be starting the vehicle until the job is done. Snap that on. Go ahead and grab your cover and just reinstall that. Just gently snug these down. They don't have to be super tight. You just want to secure that panel in place. And let's continue. Open up the hood, locate your battery. Using a 10mm socket, loosen the ground terminal nut and disconnect the cable end. And we're going to start with the vehicle raised and supported safely. And we're going to access the fuel filler neck and the return line. We're going to access that right up in front of the rear cradle and above the rear sway bar. Now there's a clamp right here that's holding the rubber fuel filler neck to the tube, the steel tube right here. I'm going to use my flathead screwdriver to try and loosen up this clamp. Now when doing a job like this here, it's always best to make sure that you are wearing safety glasses. Chances are your car might be a little bit rusty if it's around the same age as ours. Slide that hose clamp off. Now you want to go ahead and pull this rubber hose off of the steel tube. And because of the age of the vehicle, chances are that rubber tube is kind of stuck to that steel tube. I simply take the pick and I put it in a little angle. I don't want to cut the rubber or poke a hole in it, but I want to get underneath and just kind of push it around, working that rubber free, breaking that seal free. I'm going to use a pry bar. I'm going to come up underneath here, right on the edge, and I'm going to use the lower control arm for leverage. I'm going to reach up and pull on this while I pry it. And our goal is to separate this hose. Pop that off like so. And then we're going to be able to pull this over at an angle and tuck that over. Now, due to the fuel vapors coming out of this tube, I'm going to go ahead and grab an old glove, put it over it, and use a tie strap to go ahead and seal this up for vapors. Make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area when doing this job. Follow the tube up, it comes around and it loops around to our EVAP canister right here. So we need to disconnect this here from the tank. And I want to go ahead and slide this lock back. So there's two little tabs here. You can push those and slide that lock tab back. Oh, actually ours just kind of popped off a little bit, which is totally fine. But ideally what you want to do is you want to slide that back so it exposes, there's a push tab right here on the bottom. And of course there's one up on the top. What we need to do is we need to push both of these together. I'm going to use my pick and pop that off. Now you can see it's disconnected, but we're going to disconnect the connection further towards the rear of the vehicle, and that should allow us a little more freedom here to pop that off. Now let's come on top here. There is an electrical connector that's part of this vent tube as well. I'm going to pinch right on the top and pull this connector off. There it is. We need to get to this green clip right here. We need to separate this just like we did the other connectors. Now that we have that moved back, it's going to give us access. This has a white push button on it right here, a little white tab, and there's going to be one on the top as well. So we need to push these two together and slide this line back, or actually slide it forward. Now that we unlocked those white tabs there, I have my hand up over the cradle, over the top and the back. We want to pull on this and disconnect that. Now I went ahead and folded back our fuel filler neck, and we held it back with a tie strap. Now right here, we want to go ahead and disconnect this. Now there's a white locking tab on here, like a lock that holds this in place. There's a little tab here and one on the bottom. We need to pinch these together and push it out the other side. We're going to do this using a pair of hose pliers to get up and evenly pinch this, because the clearance is tough by hand. I'm going to pinch these tabs, and I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver to come up on the other side here and try and pull that through. Now that white clip is only going to come out so far. Then we can go ahead and grab this and pull it out. Now at this point here, we have our clip moved back. We're able to undo the clips here and kind of release those back so that clip can come back. We can pop that right off and remove that. All right. Now feed our vent tube up, and we just need to snake it up and around. And position this. All right, now that we have this lined up, we can go ahead and start to get our connections on. We also want to pay attention to the electrical connector right here. This needs to get connected. So as we pull the tube over, we can go ahead and snap that onto the sensor itself. Okay, perfect. All right. Now that we have our harness connected, we're now going to go ahead and connect this to our tank, pushing this on. Once it's on, we should be able to press our lock over. All right, we have our lock on the tank side. Let's go ahead and position this here. Get this onto our canister. Make sure that lock collar, the orange collar, is all the way back. Push this on. You can hear it click. Snap the lock on there. Now let's go ahead and connect the other end to the fuel fill tube. Now we have the last port here for that vent tube to attach to the fuel fill tube, or the vent line here. That's why we have our fill neck here loose. Go ahead and line that up. You want to hear that click, lock into place, and then you can push the green lock tab over. And go ahead and disconnect our securing strap here. So if you spray the inside of that hose a little bit with some spray solvent, get that lined up and work that on. The solvent will help that kind of pop in. Use our 7mm socket on our ratchet, and we want to go ahead and tighten down our hose clamp on the fuel filler tube. Here we go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.